Hey everyone, so I just got back from watching The Curse of La Llorona. La Llorona? I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah. Anyway, I was interested in seeing this because I had heard that it exists in the same universe as the Conjuring movies. And I am a fan of the Conjuring movies, especially the first one. And yes, it does in fact have a connection with the Conjuring universe. It makes a reference in the movie to the Conjuring movies, but it's in passing. And anyway, apart from that, it is very much a standalone film. But unfortunately, this standalone film does not stand on its own as a particularly good movie. It's not completely atrocious. I've definitely seen worse movies, but it is basically a heaping pile of average. Um, just about every horror movie cliche is in this movie, of course. You always run that risk when going to see a horror movie. That's as much as I love horror movies. That's the one thing that's kind of always kind of a bummer about it because there's so many stupid ones, and this is on that list, unfortunately. It's not, like I said, it's not the worst horror movie I've ever seen. There were some good performances. Some of the cinematography was good. Some of the scenes looked good, but like I said, all the cliches are in there. Like the creaking doors and their mirror with something scary in its reflection, and then the light switches that never work, and yada yada, so on and so forth. And then my favorite cliche of all of these, and when I say favorite, I really mean the one that I hate the most, the one that drives me crazy the most, is characters walking slowly. How many horror movies have we seen where there are scenes, usually many scenes of a main character or just any character really just walking really slowly in a darkened hall by themselves, just slowly. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand why so many filmmakers seem to think that having their characters walk slowly creates tension, because it just doesn't by itself. Anyway, it does not. It ends up just annoying me, because I've seen it so many times, and it doesn't mean anything. Why do they do that? Anyway, and if that's all there was to it that was wrong with it, I don't think I don't think I'd mind it so much. But this movie has shades of Woman in Black in it, except that it's not nearly as terrifying and it's not nearly as interesting. But in both movies, the main demon woman thing, goes after children. They want to kill them and stuff because they're evil, right? Not the children, but the demon woman. Anyway, um, so that is in this, just like in Woman in Black, except for in this one, the woman is wearing white. Oh, the original. No, but and the Woman in Black though had so much more going for it than just that, obviously. And I actually, it's one of my favorite thrillers, and this does not even remotely compare to Woman in Black. Um, it also is just, it relies way too heavily on jump scares. They are all over the freaking place to the point where they're not scary anymore, right? At very first, when the movie first started, there was a little bit of real tension just because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But very early on in the movie, I realized that they cared way more about creating jump scares than they were about actually telling a story. The story itself was very simple, which by itself is not a bad thing. Good stories can be simple, obviously, but it just, all the craziness that happened in the movie, it just didn't feel justified to me because the story just wasn't really there. It wasn't very interesting. And so yeah. So anyway, it was just very very average. The music hardly had any kind of presence. Um, Again, the acting was okay, but anyway, yeah, I just can't recommend it. It was mostly just kind of bleh, boring. I spent a lot of time rolling my eyes and saying, "Oh brother," because of all the cheesy things that happened. In fact, one of the scenes that I think was supposed to be one of the scariest in the scenes actually made me laugh. So that's never a good thing for a horror movie, right? So as a quick note too, the movie is rated R, but it does not earn the rating. I don't understand why it's rated R. There is no strong language, there's no sexual content, and the violence in it is quite mild. It feels more like a moderate PG-13 movie. So, and this happens fairly often, and it makes me wonder if the filmmakers of these horror movies specifically vie for an R rating, even though it doesn't earn it. You know, um, I wonder if they specifically try to get an R rating to make their horror movie seem more edgy, which is silly to me. Um, so anyway, this movie is not edgy. It's not scary, and I do not recommend it. um, it's it might be a fun rental for Halloween for a bunch of 11-year-olds. Again, it's more like a moderate PG-13 movie. Um, and PG-13 isn't bad, obviously, that's not a complaint, but it was just a very watered down, weak, non-scary, average meh horror movie. I give it 2 shattered mirrors with scary reflections in it out of 5. I recommend skipping this one. If you haven't seen Woman in Black, you should watch that instead. Anyway, goodbye.